So, in Christian apologetics, what is Anselm's ontological argument? And here it is. It is the idea that what is the greatest possible being you can imagine? What would he have? What would be his properties? Maybe it would be all powerful, all knowing, omnipotent, omnipresent. So, by extension, if you can conceptualize it, then reality is greater than conception. So, by extension, you have to take the next step that he must exist in reality because reality is greater than mere conception. That's a bit abstract way of thinking, but let me try to give you two examples. So, if I ask you, what's the greatest car that there is? And you told me, you explained it, and you said it had this feature, every possible feature you could think of. And then I ask you, who makes it? Then you said, no one makes it. It doesn't exist. Well, then that's not the greatest car because existence is greater than conception. So then I ask you, what is the greatest car that there is? But if you said, oh, well, this car is made by this manufacturer. Okay, well, then you've taken a greater step from conceptualizing the car into reality. Again, another idea. If I said, what is the greatest being in existence? And you and I went with this back and forth in a kind of a pedagogical manner, and I ask you, what does it have? Does it have legs? And you say yes, and I say, and we're going in using the syncretic method, and I said, does it walk around on all fours or does it stand upright? And you would go, oh, well, it stands upright. Why? Because in our understanding, our thinking, walking on all fours is greater than, or walking on two legs is greater than walking on all fours. And then I said, can it talk? And you would say, yes, it can talk because it doesn't merely bark. And you would say, yes, because in our mind, talking is greater than barking. Is it self-aware? Well, then, yes, because being self-aware is greater than not being aware of oneself, like maybe a squirrel. So we keep going on this journey back and forth, conceptualizing the greatest being that there actually is, the greatest possible being. And once we reach the place where we say, I ask you, is it all knowing? Well, then yes. So see, what we've done is slowly we've walked from, like, let's say a four-legged animal like a dog, we've walked up to a human. Now we're getting beyond the realm of human capacity when we say it's all knowing. Is it all powerful? Yes, it's all powerful. Okay? So we keep going into greater realms of possibility. Well, then the next thing is it must exist because existence is greater than non-existence. You see? And so then the next characteristic we would have to give it is existence. Just like the next characteristic we would have to give it from being not self-aware is to being self-aware. Can it communicate? Yes, it can communicate. Can it communicate in things that are as great as language? Yes. Can it communicate in ways that are greater than language? Yes. Let's say it can communicate telepathically. Okay? Well, then we would believe that a divine being could communicate, didn't have to have words to communicate. He could communicate telepathically. You see, or we would say through osmosis of his spirit to your spirit. You see, that type of communication is even greater than mere words, because mere words can only convey the intended meaning. But telepathically there's a concept that telepathically could convey the full intent of the meaning. You see, so that's a greater form of communication. Well, when we're all said and done with this concept about the greatest being, then we have to take the very next logical step into existence as opposed to mere non-existence. So this is Anselm's ontological argument. Some people find it compelling. Some people, like Kant, didn't find it too compelling. But throughout the Christian history since the Middle Ages, this has been persuasive for many people, but for some, not so much. Let me know in the comments below, do you think it's compelling or not?